So welcome back my friends. Today we will do the second question on corporate finance. We are doing second essay question and that is question number 2.20 from your IMA study support package, which is Apex. Okay. Exam technique. First read the requirement. What is the first requirement? Define operating leverage and describe how the operating leverage created by the expansion will affect the company's return and business risk. Right? So my friends, I hope you remember this. Remember, operating leverage we have already done in financial analysis. Okay, operating leverage as well as financial leverage. Remember, we also have seen the formulas to calculate these both measures. Okay, operating leverage, financial leverage, both we have done, but we will do it again because that is directly related to corporate finance. Okay, so I hope you remember that. I hope you have revised it. Anyways, no issues. Even if you don't remember, we will discuss it again. Okay, but not from calculation point of view, only from theoretical point of view we will discuss. So if you want to remember it, go back, review your financial analysis notes and lectures, so it will be okay with you. What is the third requirement? Define and identify two characteristics of common stock and preferred stock. This is very simple question. Okay, I hope most of you know this. Very simple. See, common shareholders are the real owners of the company, right? Their dividend is not fixed, and they are the last people who will get their amount after creditors are paid, after preferred holders are paid. So if there is anything remaining, they will get. Otherwise, they will not get anything. If you talk about preferred stock, so they are having a fixed dividend. They have a fixed percentage, and they are not the owners of the company, and they have no voting rights. Okay, common stocks, they have voting rights. I will write it again for you, just I am giving you an introduction. And preferred stock people, they have preference over common shareholders. They will get their in liquidation, when the company will close down, they will get their right first. I mean after the creditors, but before the common stocks. Getting the story, everyone? Okay, so my friends, this is your requirement number 3. Very simple. Okay, so my friends, if you talk about the fourth requirement, let me quickly go through the fourth. So we are talking about the requirement number 4. Okay, so we are saying describe the maturity, par value, and coupon rate. Okay, for a bond. This is not James Bond, huh? This is bond. So we will see what is a bond. I hope you know very well what is a bond, but we will discuss. So we will say, okay, it is an instrument. It is a debt instrument for 10 years or more normally. And maturity means at what time in future you have to repay to the bondholders. Okay, and what you repay, basically, you repay par value. What is par value? The amount which you repay at maturity. Getting the story? Like for example, $100, $10, like that. Coupon rate is the rate of interest which you will give every year. Again, we will write everything again. So don't worry, I'm just giving an introduction to the question. And finally, the fifth requirement is identify and explain one advantage, one disadvantage of raising capital through common stock, preferred stock, and bond. So 3 things you have to do. 3 headings you will make, and for every heading you will write one advantage and one disadvantage. So very interesting question. No calculation is here. So a theoretical question like this you can expect in exam. Okay, that's why I told you reading through the theory of this section is really important. Okay, they have a lot to ask. There are many topics in this area which they can easily ask you. Okay, so extremely important this topic. Anyways, so my friends, let's read the scenario. Okay, they are telling you that Apex Corporation is a mid-size retail company selling home appliances. Okay, Apex faces competition from large national chains as well as local retailers and needs to raise money. What they need to do? They need to raise money. Definitely, we are in corporate finance, right? So we are talking about raising money to finance its expansion into the new markets. Very nice. So they are expanding. The company is currently operating at break even. Remember break even point we discussed in decision analysis. What is break even? Can anyone tell me in the chat box? Yes, please. What is break even? Remember? Very nice. No profit, no loss. So, but believes that the expansion will help it become more profitable. Getting the story? So they are expanding to become profitable actually. Based on the company's analysis, it plans to open up to 10 new locations. Very nice. Without adding costs to its human resource, accounting, information technology, and legal departments. Right? I mean, they're opening 10 new stores, but you know, the same people who are there in the existing human resource, they will handle those 10 locations. The accounting people are same. I mean, you are not having separate accounting department in those new locations. Getting the story? Why they are telling you this thing? So that you can solve requirement number one. What is requirement number one? What is operating leverage? Operating leverage means what's your fixed cost? Getting the story, my friends. We discussed this in financial analysis already. I am repeating again. So, you know, a company has some fixed cost. Like this is fixed cost, HR, accounting, IT, legal. Now, when their sales will increase because of expanding, you know, their sales will go up. But this fixed cost will stay the same. So, do you think this company will make good profit? Of course, they will make good profits because their fixed cost will not go up, but their sales will go up. So, effectively, their profit will go up. Getting it? By more proportion, I mean. But assume, you know, you have hired a company to handle these things. You know, these departments can be outsourced also. So you have hired a company for HR, they are handling your HR, they are handling your finance, IT, legal, everything. So they will say, listen, if you will expand, we will charge you more because you know we have to give you more resources, more time is needed to handle your 10 new locations, you know. So do you think this is fixed? No, this is not fixed, right? Maybe that will be mixed cost. You know, there is some fixed element you are paying them, and then they say, okay, based on number of employees, we will charge you this. Accounting people are also saying you know, based on the number of transactions, we will charge you this. This is the outsourced company which I am talking about. IT people can say, okay, based on the requests to solve your IT issues, we will charge you this much amount. Legal department, okay, based on your legal cases, we will charge you this amount. So, you know, maybe 10 new locations will have more legal issues, right or not? Because when you will go in new market, you don't know. I mean, maybe there are some new regulatory requirements and anything can happen with you, right or not? Everyone, please write yes in the chat box if you got the story. So, my friends, those who are taking part 1 also, so remember we did overhead allocation, so that you can relate here also overhead allocation. These are those departments which are called service departments. So we allocate their cost to production departments. Getting the story, everyone? Anyways, so this we will use in the answer. We will say, okay, they are expanding in the new market, but their fixed cost will stay the same. See, because they are saying you without adding cost, okay. So since the company cannot fund the expansion through operations, remember cash flow. So in cash flow, you have cash flow from operating activities. So they are saying the cash flow from operating activities is not enough to fund this expansion. So what you will do? You have to go for financing activities or not. Either you will issue shares or you will take a bank loan, you will issue preference shares, you will issue bonds, you will issue loan notes, you will issue debentures, you will issue redeemable preference shares, irredeemable preference shares, many things. So it is considering financing options such as issuing more stock, creating a class of preferred stock, or issuing bonds, convertible securities, or warrants. So they said they are exploring these things. Okay. So I think in this question they are not asking about convertible securities and warrants. Maybe in the next classes we will study this also. Convertible security is very simple. You issue a bond and you say, okay, after 5 years or 10 years, you're telling to the bondholder that either you take back your par value, we will repay you. Otherwise, you can convert this bond into common shares. Getting it? So after 10 years, up till 10 years, the bondholder will earn interest, right or not? After 10 years, he said, okay, I am exercising my right to convert this bond into a share. So you will say, okay, no problem, we will take back the bond and we will give you the share. Getting the story, everyone? But they are not asking this in this question. I'm just giving you an idea about it. Write yes in the chat box if everything is okay. So my friends, they are telling you now that number one, let's start number one. They are asking you define operating leverage and describe how the operating leverage created by the expansion will affect the company's return and business risk. Two things, huh? So let's see. So when you will write about the first requirement, okay. So first of all, they are asking you, right? Define operating leverage. So you can quickly define them. You can say it is the use of fixed operating costs to increase profitability. What it is? It is the use of fixed operating. See, that's why it's called operating leverage, because we are talking about operating costs. Okay? To increase profitability. So you can make heading and all those things which I have been telling you so far. I'm just not making headings to save time. So you will make a heading here, operating leverage. Below that you will leave one space and then you will write like this. Okay. So you need to exploit your fixed cost. Getting the story, everyone, to increase your profitability. So now see, they are asking you how the operating leverage will affect the company return and business risk. Right or not? It will affect the risk and return of the company or not? Write yes in the chat box if you agree with me. My fixed cost will affect my return and risk or not? Now see, those who are writing yes, can you tell me how my fixed cost will affect my risk? How my fixed cost is risky for me? So you will say, okay, you have a fixed cost. Like, these corona times. So those companies, big companies, they have big warehouses, rental contracts, commitments, employees, on fixed salaries. So the sales are going down. What they will do? Right? So they terminated employees. They, they terminated the rental agreements because, there is no business. Governments, they gave packages. They said, okay, no rent for 3 months, 6 months, like that. Why? Because there was a risk. If these things will not happen, from where they will pay? They will pay from their pocket? No, they cannot pay, right? They have to run the business and they will pay to employees. If there is no business, there is no need for employee. Hearing the story. But some companies, they were very nice. So they said, okay, we are not terminating you, we are reducing your salary, and once situation will improve, we will again increase your salary. I don't know if they will increase or not, right or not? Or some companies, they said, okay, we will uh, deduct your salaries now and we will refund you once the situation will improve. So salary is same, but we will pay you less amount, and this amount we will refund you once the situation will improve. Getting the story, my friends? So so you will write here, you will say, okay, the risk and return of the firm is affected definitely by operating leverage. How? If your sales are increasing, I mean, to a greater extent, so you will get good return or not? Yes. But if your sales are decreasing, so there is a big risk. I mean, you can default because you are not able to bear your fixed operating costs. So this is the answer. Getting it or not, everyone? Please write yes in the chat box. So they are asking you, describe how the operating leverage created by the expansion will affect. You will say, okay, we are expanding, so definitely sales will go up. So there is a chance of higher returns. But at the same time, if we are not able to succeed, what will happen? You know, we may not be able to bear that cost. Now see, one more thing I will tell you, very interesting. In this scenario, they are only talking about these 4 departments, right? These are support departments. But when you will go in those 10 new retail locations, you are increasing a little bit or not. I mean, you will hire a warehouse there, maybe you will hire a shop, you will take a shop on rent or not. Your retail location, so you need a shop. Getting it? So the rent of the shop you have to pay there. Maybe you will recruit employees, you have to pay their salary there. So all these things will come. But they say without adding cost to these things. So this is what we are referring to here. Okay, everyone? Very nice. So let's go to I mean, you can complete this answer here. This is your homework. You will just write, it's very simple, that we are going in a new location. So sales will increase. There is a chance of high return. But if there are no increase in sales, so there is a business risk. I mean, you can be out of the market. Getting it, everyone? What is question number 2? Financial leverage, very simple. It is same as operating leverage, right or not? But here we are not talking about operating fixed cost. Here we are talking about the fixed element which you pay on your finance. Getting it? So there are 2 sources of finance. Debt, equity. On which source you pay fixed amount? I mean fixed financing amount. On debt or equity? Yes, my friends. On which source you pay fixed amount? Very nice. On debt you pay fixed amount, right? You take a loan, you pay interest, fixed. Okay? And some types of shares also, which are like that, like redeemable preference shares, you pay a fixed dividend, which is basically interest. And on bonds, debenture, loan notes, all of them, you pay fixed interest, right? So this is about financial leverage. Here we have to write. So you will write, okay, it is similar to operating leverage, right? It uses fixed costs, right? Not fixed operating costs to increase profitability. Okay. And then you can write, for example, you are borrowing. If you are borrowing, right? Or you are taking a lease, a finance lease, which is a long-term lease. So you have to pay some fixed amounts on that. So the company is committed. It's called commitment. Those who are making the financial statements, you know very well, at the end of financial statement, you write some note, commitments and contingencies. So there you talk about it. Committed to pay, fixed financing costs. Okay, all this we have already done in financial analysis, but I'm doing it again here. So, they asked you only define it. They are not asking you to go further, but I'm just telling you, maybe they will ask you. So you can say, okay, if the profit is high enough, you know, see, it's about profitability. Are you able to cover your financing cost or not? Okay, can anyone tell me that ratio we calculate to see how much space we have, I mean, how many times we can pay interest? Remember that ratio. What was that ratio? How many times you can pay interest from your profits? Okay, very nice. Interest coverage ratio. So you take your EBIT and you divide with interest expense. So for example, your EBIT is 1000 and your interest expense is 100. So you will say 1000 divided by 100, how much? 10, right? So you will say, okay, I can pay 10 times. I can pay interest 10 times. Getting the story? So it means what? That, there is a big space for shareholders, because, once you pay interest, then only comes the shareholders. So out of 1000, 100 you are saying interest. Remaining how much? How much remaining? Tell me. Very nice. 900, right? So this is for whom? This 900. This is for whom? Very nice. This is for equity holders. So I will either give as dividend, or I will say, okay, out of this 900, I am giving maybe 400 as dividend, and the remaining 500 I am retaining in the business. This is called retained earnings, right? Getting the story, everyone? So basically, financial leverage is telling you that are you able to fulfill your financial obligations, that fixed part of your financial obligations, and do you have something remaining for your shareholders or not? Getting the story or not? Okay, question. Financial leverage is very high. It means, your financing costs are very high. So shareholders will be happy or they will be concerned? Tell me. Very nice. They will be concerned, because, their amount is at stake. Assume, take same example, 1000 is the profit and maybe 800 is financing. 800 is the interest expense. So how much is the interest coverage? 1 point something. If you divide 1000 with 800, how much will come? 1 point something, right? It means, only 200 is left for equity people, and maybe the company will not give dividend because they need to retain something also for the business to run, right or not, everyone? So, I mean, equity holders will not be happy with this, and they can demand the company higher returns. They will demand, big risk. This is high risk, very high risk. So all this is coming under financial leverage. So you can talk about, okay, if the profits are enough, so the shareholders are less concerned. If the profits are low and, the fixed financing cost is very high, so the shareholders will be concerned. I mean, they can demand high rates for them also. Okay. Now see, why shareholders are concerned? Can you tell me? Very interesting point. Okay, see, I told you I teach through question practice, but while doing question, I am not only doing question. I am bringing many concepts together for your reference. Okay, so whatever I am discussing right now, I am not supposed to discuss if I am only doing this question for you. I will only define financial leverage and I will move on. But why I am putting effort here? Because you need to understand all those discussions which I am doing with you, because when you will read the book, then these points will come in your mind, which I am telling you right now. Okay. Now see, why shareholders are concerned? The answer is that, if the company will default, How the company will default? When you are not able to pay your interest on time, you are not able to repay your loan on time. So creditors will take over. I mean, take over, like they will go to the court. They will say, okay, liquidate the company, we need our money back. The company will be sold and assets will be sold off, creditors will be paid off. They will appoint an administrator. These things will happen. So what about shareholders? I already told you, with this we are discussing in the next requirement also, that they are the last people who will get something. And last nothing is remaining. So basically you just take your share and throw it in the basket, because you will not get anything, right? Because liquidation means what? It means your assets are less than your assets are less than your debt, right? Your assets are less, your debts are more. So when your assets will be sold off, for example, your assets are 100 and your debt is 200. So you sold 100 assets to repay 100 debt of creditors, because they are the top priority. If something is remaining, which is nothing, so that will come to the common stock holders, which is nothing. Got the point, everyone? So see the priority. The priority is top creditors. Second, you can say preference shareholders, and the last one, common shareholders. If you only compare these three instruments. Getting the story, everyone? So this all discussion you can write. No, you will not write. You will just define the financial leverage. That okay, in financial leverage, we talk about borrowing and how much is the fixed element in those borrowings. Okay, can the company handle it with its earnings or not? If yes, very nice. If not, shareholders will be concerned and there is a risk that the creditors will take over the company, many things. So please write yes in the chat box if 2 is fine with you. We will go for 3. So interesting, right? This is very interesting topic, my friends, corporate finance area. Third one, they are saying define and identify 2 characteristics of common stock and preferred stock. Very simple question. So let us see. See, the characteristics, if I write overall, you can say about voting power, So you will say, okay, common stocks, they have voting power. Preference stocks, they don't have voting power. In the annual general meeting, okay, in annual general meeting, the shareholders, they vote for some resolutions for the company, Maybe they will also vote for directors, auditors, all these things, okay? So, or any other business decision if it is kept for the agenda. So you will say, okay, I'm writing here for you like this. I'm writing common shareholders and preference. Okay. So voting power, yes. Voting power, no. Okay, you will not write like this. You will write in a paragraph format. Apart from this, you can say dividend. Okay. Dividend, variable, because it depends on the profitability of the company. This is fixed. It's fixed percentage they will get. It's not related to the profitability. Getting the story, everyone? So in liquidation, you can say they are the last people who get their money if something is remaining. But here you will say they have preference, they have priority over common. Getting the story? Because that's why they are called preference shareholders. Why? Because they have priority over common shareholders, where they will get their dividend before. If the company is issuing dividend, they have to first give dividend to preference shareholders and then to common shareholders. This is the priority. Second priority is when the company will liquidate, preference shareholders will get their money first. First means before common shareholders. Okay, first, not first, because first one is the creditor. Okay, please write yes in the chat box. So my friends, I mean this, they only asked you 2 points. See, they say 2 characteristics, but I told you 3 already, so you can write 2 of them. See, if some people, what they do, they say very nice question, they will waste their time. They will say, I know 3, I will write 3. Okay, some people are like this. You should not be like this. Stay to the point. They're asking 2, write 2. Don't become over smart that I will write 3, I will get more marks. I will impress examiner. Getting it? So, how many of you will do like that? Don't do like this. They are asking 2, just write 2. That's it. Fourth, describe the maturity par value coupon rate for a bond. Very nice. Now see, some people, they will become over smart. They will say, what is a bond? They will tell examiner, see, I know you don't know what is a bond. You will tell examiner what is a bond. So no need to tell examiner what is a bond. He knows already. Because he didn't ask you. See, he asked you. No, he is not saying define bond. Why you are telling what is bond? If you see official answer of this question, they are defining the bond. Then you can argue with me, sir, see in official answer they are defining the bond. So I have told you 100 times, official answer is just for reference. In official answer they write many things just for your understanding, so that in exam you are well prepared. Official answer is not the sample answer which is expected. Okay, but here again, I will also tell you what is a bond, like they are telling you what is a bond, but in exam you will not write what is a bond because they didn't ask you for that. Please write yes in the chat box if you got this point. Okay, so don't write about James Bond, huh? Some people, they will write bond is 007. So I will tell you one of my school stories. So when I was in school, I think maybe in 3rd or 4th grade, so one of my class, we were studying, I think, some history or something. So at that time, in history there is some person called Ashoka something. So at that time there was an Indian movie, Ashoka something. I think Shah Rukh Khan was there in that movie, Shah Rukh Khan and Kareena Kapoor. So one of my classmates, we got a question to write about Ashoka. He wrote about the movie in the exam. That okay, this is a Bollywood movie and the actor is Shah Rukh Khan, the actress is Kareena Kapoor, and so he wrote full page about that. And when the teacher, she marked it, so it was amazing. Amazing time. We all were laughing, and they called his parents also for this thing. So don't do this in exam. Don't write 007. Anyways, so let's see question number 4. Do you remember something like this? Tell me in the WhatsApp group, if you have faced something like this in your school life. Fourth, so we will say, okay, bond is a long-term debt instrument. Okay, first thing, long-term debt instrument with maturity of generally 10 years or more. Getting it, everyone? So normally the maturity is 10 years or more. But you will not write this in exam, my friends. I told you already. This is only for your reference. Now see, they asked you that what is maturity. So you will make a heading maturity. Then they asked you what is par value. You can make a heading par value. Right? Then they asked you what is the third thing? Coupon rate. Right? So you will make a heading coupon rate. Yeah, very nice. So as I already discussed in the start of the question, when I was giving you introduction, what is maturity? It is the time when the company is obligated to pay. Right? Pay what? Par value. To whom? To bondholders. Okay, you will not write like this. I'm writing just keywords. So you will write, okay, maturity is the time when the company is obligated to pay the par value to the bondholders, like this. Okay, so very simple, right? So you got to know that we pay the par value to the bondholders. So for example, I say, okay, we are issuing maybe 10,000 bonds, right? Par value par value $10, right? Like this. You will see in the financial statements like this, and it will be like this. 5%, 5%, 10,000 bonds, par value $10. And the financial statement in the balance sheet, you will find this value like this. It will be 10,000 into 10. So basically in your financial statements, in your non-current liability, you will find this as a liability, 100,000. What is this 100,000? This is the amount bondholders paid you when you issued bonds. So every year you will pay how much? How much interest you will pay every year? You will say, okay, this value into 5%, 0.05. So every year basically you will pay them 5,000, okay? And after 10 years, you will return them this 100,000. I mean, maybe $10 for every bondholder. Getting the story? So I'm just telling you how it will happen. Anyways, so what is the par value in this analysis? $10. This is called the par value. So you can write, okay, this is the amount paid at maturity, right? As we have already written above also. Okay, it is also called face value. It is also called face value. Similarly, for common shares, there is called par value, face value, nominal value also you can say. Same thing. Nominal value, same thing. Okay. It is also called principal. Same, I mean, these are same terminologies. Okay, the good thing, I mean, what you will say that, I mean, what is par value and why it is used? Why it is used? Because interest is calculated based on par value. Right or not? I mean, this analysis which I have done here, this interest I calculated on which value? On par value, right? Or not? This is par value, 100,000 total par value. So I will take 5% of par value and I will pay them. What is coupon rate? Coupon rate is that 5% in my analysis here. So you will say, okay, what is coupon rate? It is the percentage of interest on the bond. Okay, percentage of interest to be paid on the bond. Please write yes in the chat box if everything is okay till now. So interesting, right? Very nice. I hope no one is sleeping with open eyes. Please don't sleep with open eyes. Let us do the fifth requirement. Identify and explain one advantage, one disadvantage of three things: common stock, preferred stock, bond. Let's see. So common stock. In exam you don't have Excel sheet. I told you many times. So you will have a notepad to write. Okay, see, this is exam technique. Again, I will tell you. In your notepad, you can make skeleton. This is called skeleton. And later on, you can come back and you can quickly fill in the blanks, because you know already. So you can just write common stock and preferred stock. It will be easy for you like this. I used to do this. I did in both of my part 1, part 2 exams. I did this strategy. Preferred stock and bonds. So first make headings. Then within the headings, what they need, remember, they need one advantage, right? And one disadvantage. So you have option to copy paste in the notepad, by the way. So you can do like this: copy, paste, paste, like this to save your time. Then you will write like this: common stock, what is the advantage? There is no regular interest payment needed, right or not? This is the advantage. For common stock, we don't pay them any interest. Okay. Also, one more advantage is there is no maturity. I mean, because of bond, there is a maturity. You have to repay. In common stock, you will never repay them until and unless you repurchase the shares, which are called treasury shares. But that is again on your decision, not on the shareholder decision. There is no contract like this that I will repurchase common stock after 5 years. No. If you want to sell, go in the stock exchange and sell the share. The company will not purchase it back. Okay. So what is the problem here? Equity is an expensive source of finance. What is equity? It is expensive source of finance. Why? Can anyone tell me? Can anyone tell me? Yeah, one more thing, like they said, voting power. This is also an advantage, definitely. They have voting power. But they are only asking one, so you can write anything, no problem. Tell me, why equity is expensive source of finance as compared to debt? I'm telling you, debt is a cheap source of finance. Why? So, you came to me, okay, and you said, okay, I need $100,000 and I will do business, and if I will make profit, I will give you return. Interesting, right? You came to me, you said, okay, Mr. Imad, please give me $100,000. First of all, I don't have. So, assuming I have, so I gave you. You said, okay, I will give you return only if I make profits. What do you think? What I will say you? I will say this is a big risk. I mean, I'm not sure about it. Maybe you will waste my money. So I will say, okay, I will agree with that, provided you give me 20% return. When you will make return, my required return is how much? 20%. It's a big return. So you said, okay, okay, okay. After meeting me, you went to the bank. You told bank that I want $100,000. I have this business plan and I will do business, and if I will make profit, I will pay you. Bank will say, sir, this is the door. Please get out. Or not? Right or not, my friends? What bank will tell you? Bank will say, thank you so much. We don't give loans like this. Right or not? So you will ask bank, tell me, what's your requirement? So bank will say, okay, see, you make profit or not, we don't care. We need 10% interest. Getting the story? How much they are asking? 10% interest. Less, right? Less. Because risk is less. I mean, bank has this assurity that they will get the interest from you. If you will not pay, they will, they have the requirements, right? I mean, they can claim through court and all these things. So, but for equity holder, for me, when you came to me, I'm not saying you I need it must, right or not? But I'm saying if you make profits, you will give me 20%, as compared to the bank is taking only 10%. So which is expensive source of finance? Equity, right? Because I am taking risk. There is a big risk. I mean, you will make losses. So this is why, this is the disadvantage of common stock, that the cost of capital is higher than bond. The cost of capital is higher than the bonds if you compare with the debt. Okay. One more thing I will write here for you. When you will issue new shares, what will happen? The existing shareholders, they will lose their holding. I mean, already there are 100 shareholders. Every shareholder has one share. So you can say that, okay, every shareholder is 1% owner of the company. Right or not? Write yes in the chat box if you got this point. There are 100 shareholders. Every shareholder has one share. So you will say, okay, every shareholder is 1% owner of the company. Very nice. Now you are issuing more shares. Assuming you are issuing 100 more shares. So first of all, you know very well rights issue we discussed before. Rights issue means this is the right of the existing shareholders that you offer them first. So you went to them, you said, see, I want to issue more shares because I need money. If you won't purchase it, they said, no, we don't want. They said, we don't want. We cannot purchase. You said, okay, fine. Now I will go in the market and I will sell it. You went in the market and you sold 100 more shares. Now tell me what will happen to their holding. They were having 1% holding of the company, right? Now their holding will be half. It will be only 0.5%. Why? Because now there are 200 shares in the market, shareholders in the market, right? Or not? Getting the story? Not getting the story. Okay, if you are getting the story, I mean, maybe, it will become half because I didn't take up my right, so they will issue shares to other people. So they will also become owners of the company, right? So it will be less than 1%. Anyways, so you can say diluted ownership, right? Remember this point. They are only asking one, but I am telling you more for your reference. Also, there are more regulations. When you issue shares, I mean, your new company is going to the stock exchange. You are having initial public offering, which is called IPO. There are so many regulations you have to follow, right? I mean, if you are going to the USA stock exchange, over there you have to follow Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which is very, very extreme regulation in the whole world. Sarbanes-Oxley Act. I think it's there in internal controls in part 1. Okay. Preferred stock. What is the good thing about preferred stock? Again, there is no maturity date. Okay, there is no maturity here also. There is no maturity here also. Same thing. Okay. Because preferred stock issued, the company will not repurchase until and unless they want themselves. Right or not, everyone? So, diluted ownership will affect your voting power because, only common stockholders have voting power. Okay. So, the advantage here is it will not dilute ownership of common people, common shareholders, because, I'm issuing preference shares. Preference shareholders already, they don't have voting power. So, I mean, even if I issue more shares, they don't care about it. Okay. Cost of capital is higher than the bond. Same point here also. Because this is equity. Preferred stock is also equity, by the way. What the point, everyone? Okay. Please write yes in the chat box if everything is okay. Bonds. They have lower cost of capital. This is a good thing, right? They have lower cost of capital. Means I already explained you why lower cost of capital, because less risk. You will have tax benefits. Remember, we discussed in investment decisions, tax shield. Interest is tax deductible. Tax people only apply tax after deducting the interest. Okay. What is the problem? You have to fulfill some covenants, requirements, collateral requirements when you go to issue the bonds. Okay, so there are some requirements to fulfill. Whenever you go for the debt situation, like even if you take a loan from the bank, they will give you a full list. They will say, okay, bring your audited financial statements and do these ratio calculations. They also give you formula also. They say, don't go for your CMA ratio. you know, like, they asked you calculate your gearing ratio, debt equity ratio. You said, okay, I will calculate it like debt upon debt plus equity. They say no, calculate it as debt upon equity, or exclude this thing from your debt, include this thing in your debt. Like this, they will give you full requirements. So they will say, okay, don't bring your CMA formulas here. Do as per this formula. Getting it or not, my friends? So anyways, so this is the question, my friends. How was it? It's okay with everyone? Please write yes in the chat box if everything is okay. So if any question, you can also ask me. Okay, very nice. So this is the end of this question.